सो तुम कलर क्या था तुम्हारी? तुम थे
नहीं
ब्लैक।
मैं
हाँ तुम ब्लैक थे, ठीक है। E4, E5, क्वीन H5। मतलब दिस मूव्स आर नॉट दैट मच वेरी इफेक्टिव, बस तुम्हें डराने के लिए। नाइट से 6, बट रैदर ये मूव ना, लाइक क्वीन H5 जो मूव है, ये मूव वैसे बेसिकली टेम्पो लॉस होता है। बट फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन द ओपनिंग फेज you have to develop your pieces rather than you do these kind of cheap tricks. बट कभी कभार काम भी हो जाता है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल बिशप C4 खेला, हाँ अगर बिशप C4 होता है देन there is a threat on F7, right? But it is easily defendable. क्या दोगे? White black to play.
अब पॉन को पुश।
Pawn ko push, exactly. And if queen f3 and still maintaining the same threat, you can just develop the knight as long as protect the pawn. And once again, white can continue pursuing over the f7 square, but still queen e7 defending everything. And क्वीन की मतलब एक क्वीन के लिए तुम्हें पॉन नाइट दूसरा नाइट क्वीन हर एक पीसेस डेवलप हो गया बस एक क्वीन की मूव के लिए। तो दैट इज कंप्लीटली अननेसेसरी मैन्यूवर फॉर द क्वीन। एनीवे नाइट c3 हैपेंड। नाउ नाइट f6, क्वीन f5 बहुत ही एक वो पोजीशन है। एंड आई थिंक नहीं नहीं, आई थिंक d5 इज बेटर। d6 क्यों दे रहे हो? लाइक d5 और भी बेटर है क्योंकि ये सेंटर पे भी अटैक कर लेता है इमीडिएटली। एंड ऑल्सो समटाइम्स you might consider fd4 in particular position. d6, knight f3। अच्छा knight f3, ओके तो ये खेल अभी खत्म हो गई। ऐसे जीता था
थोड़े
तुमने।
मूव में वो रिजाइन करता।
हाँ
नहीं ये वाला तो मेरे को लगता है खत्म हो गया था एंड गेम तक, मैं उसका हर पीस ले रहा था
एग्जैक्टली
एटलीस्ट।
हाँ ठीक है, ये गेम मैं नहीं जा रहा हूँ, ठीक है। मैं दूसरी गेम पे मैं चले जा रहा हूँ थोड़ा सा।
अनलेस इस वाले में उसने रिजाइन
हाँ
कर दिया था, याद
हाँ
नहीं। ये आज ही खेला था पर मैंने पहले।
ओके ये वाले देख लेते, ठीक है।
हाँ जी।
e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, knight c3, knight f6, bishop c4, bishop c5, castle, castle, d3, d6। ओके सिमेट्रिकल चल रहा है वैसे। बिशप g5, ओके एक पोजीशन है। तुम क्या कॉपी कट कर रहे हो? ध्यान से बताना, ठीक तरह से बताना। आर यू कॉपी कट?
नो सर।
मुझे तो लग रहा है तुम कॉपी कट कर रहे हो सिंपली।
नहीं सब मैं प्लान होता है वो मूव करने का, फिर वो move पहले कर देता है।
नहीं
तो
ठीक है, लेकिन मुझे लग रहा है तुम कॉपी कट कर रहे हो। लेकिन ठीक है, मुझे बताओ डी सिक्स से भी बेहतर एक मूव है, कौन सा है?
D5 आई थिंक।
पहली बार की तरह नहीं। जब भी तुम दे रहे
नहीं
हो
नहीं
ना,
D5 पकड़ लिया, देख
मेरी
लिया
बात
मैंने
सुनो।
D5 नहीं।
जब भी तुम कुछ टेंशन वाले जगह पे तुम अपने पीसेस ले जा रहे हो, मेक श्योर कि एवरीथिंग इज इन अंडर काउंटेड। फॉर एग्जांपल नंबर ऑफ द अटैकर्स एंड डिफेंडर्स। डी फाइव कैसे बोल सकते हो तुम इसमें?
D5 में अटैक ज्यादा हो जाते हैं, डिफेंडर्स कम हो
तो फिर
जाते हैं।
यहाँ D6 में बोल रहा हूँ ये सही उतना नहीं है। तो मूव क्या है, ढूंढो।
बिशप को तो ऐसे डेवलप तो करना है, क्योंकि अगर नाइट से को हम अगर लेट्स से कैसल नहीं आउटपोस्ट करेंगे बट बिशप तो डेवलप नहीं होगा। हाँ नाइट अच्छी जगह में आएगा बट बिशप अभी भी नहीं निकलेगा।
वही तो मैं कह रहा हूँ।
फ्यान का तो करने का कोई पॉइंट नहीं है क्योंकि नाइट ने तो ऑलरेडी से ब्लॉक कर लिया है, क्या करेगा बिशप? कंजेस्टेड लाइन है वो।
क्या खेलोगे? एक प्रोफिलेक्सिस आइडिया तुम्हें लगेगा इसमें, प्रोफिलेक्सिस आइडिया नक्श।
H6 so that he won't be able to pin it.
H6 सही बात। देखो एक चीज है, तुम जो H6 बोल रहे हो, ठीक है, दिस इज कॉल्ड प्रोफिलेक्सिस मूव। ओके, दिस इज कॉल्ड प्रोफिलेक्सिस मूव। इफ यू गो इनटू द पोजीशन, कहा गया पोजीशन H6, ये प्रोफिलेक्सिस मूव है, तुम रोक रहे हो बिशप जी पे, सो दिस इज मैंडेटरी, ठीक है, क्योंकि पिन बहुत एनोइंग होता है, तो तुम क्यों चाहोगे कि पिन हो। एनीवेज, D6 बिशप G5, देखा पिन हो गया, एंड बिशप G4। मुझे लग रहा है तुम दोनों कॉपी कट कर रहे हो, मतलब कौन किसको कॉपी कर रहा है, आई डोंट नो दैट। Knight D5 and seems like it's going to be a double pawn on the F6 file. वो ही पुराना बीमारी फिर से क्यों नक्श, क्यों क्यों, मुझे बताओ। अच्छा, थोड़ा सा गड़बड़ हो गया है, मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ ये? नहीं, तुम ढूंढो, तुम बताओ। तुम बताओ।
ओके, अब इस मूव में डबल अटैक है, मैंने नाइट टेल ली तो वे क्वीन आके ट्रिपल अटैक है।
एग्जैक्टली।
मेरे पास 2 डिफेंडर, 3 अटैक। हाँ, बट उसने ये गलती की थी, उसने फिर क्वीन से लिया था, तो मैंने फिर ट्रेड करके बचा लिया था।
एग्जैक्टली।
तो अब इस मूव से मेरे को चेक करना है, मैं ये वाला गेम हारा था क्या?
तुमने हारा था।
मैं चेक कर रहा हूँ, मैं भूल गया। आज 30th है।
हाँ,
किसके अगेंस्ट खेल रहे हैं सर?
अब ब्लैक टू प्ले।
नहीं, ओपोनेंट का क्या नाम है?
अपोनेंट का नाम है कार्तिक, नहीं, कथिर, कथिर 16।
वो जीता था।
तो खेलना क्या चाहिए था तुम्हें, बताओ।
ओ उसने मेरे को गलती से चेकमेट कर दिया था, मेरे को चेकमेट नहीं दिखा था, तो उसने अर्ली गेम चेकमेट कर दिया था।
नहीं तो
हाँ,
तुमको
क्योंकि
क्या
मैंने
देना चाहिए
वो
अभी?
एज ए नाइट लिया था। नाइट नहीं लेना चाहिए था मेरे को, प्रेशर नहीं, पहले मेरे को उस नहीं, मेरे को पहले और प्रेशर क्रिएट करना चाहिए था, फिर लेना चाहिए था। पहले लेके ऐसे फिर क्वीन निकल गई, फिर एज ए बिशप नाइट उन सब से करके
तुम्हें
चेकमेट हो गया मैं।
अच्छा ठीक है, लेकिन तुम्हें क्या देना चाहिए अभी इस पोजीशन पे? दिस इज माय होल क्वेश्चन, मतलब होल पॉइंट है। तुम्हें नाइट को कैप्चर नहीं करनी है, बल्कि नाइट के ऊपर प्रेशर डालनी है। तो हाउ कुड यू पुट प्रेशर ऑन द नाइट, जैसे व्हाइट ने की, जैसे व्हाइट ने की।
सेम मूव, नाइट को आउटपोस्ट
नाइट डी
करके
फोर
नाइट।
एग्जैक्टली, तुम सेम थीम अप्लाई करोगे, बिकॉज तुम्हारे पास और कोई ऑप्शन नहीं कि तुम दोनों ही वो कॉपी कट कर रहे हो। सो नाइट डी फोर पुट प्रेशर, बल्कि तुमने डिफेंडर हटा के, मतलब बीच नाइट को कैप्चर करके क्या किया, ऊपर से ये नाइट के ऊपर और भी ज्यादा प्रेशर ले रहा है। तुमने नाइट डी फोर दी, दैट वाज द करेक्ट मूव। Now here actually white played a mistake. White should retrieve the queen back here d1 and maintaining the pressure as well. But knight f6 on the board, g takes f6 and queen g4. I mean, what is white is doing? I don't know. White black to play.
I should have sacked my knight and then get the bishop. It will. It makes my other bishop's row clear. It fixes. It almost fixes my king's castle and stuff. Makes
क्यों
it
तुम
less
अभी
weak.
कैप्चर नहीं कर सकते हो? क्या दिक्कत
हाँ,
है?
अभी भी क्या?
तो क्यों नहीं की
बट
तुमने?
अभी कैप्चर करने से वो चेकमेट नहीं करते हैं।
कैसे करेगा? इज प्रोटेक्टेड।
मैंने पता नहीं क्या किया।
वही तो कह रहे हो, क्या किया तुमने? ये कौन सी
डर गया हूँ।
बिशप 6 में कौन से देश की मूवी है? मैं तो बस देख रहा हूँ तुम जो गेम पे मिस्टेक कर रहे हो, बहुत ही नॉमिनल से मिस्टेक हो रहा है। मैं दूसरी गेम पे मैं जाना चाहता हूँ। ये वाले गेम नहीं, ये हाँ, इफो। ये 15-10 की गेम है, आई लाइक दैट। लॉन्गर टाइम की गेम कंट्रोल पे खेल रहे हो। नाइट एफ सिक्स, नाइट जी फाइव, टिपिकल वन, डी फाइव, ई टेक्स डी फाइव।
मैंने फिर नाइट से ब्लॉक किया था। मैंने नाइट से लेके ब्लॉक किया था, मेरे को लगा वो बिशप
ब्रैडली
के
पर अटैक
सामने
कर रहा
ही।
है। सो हियर द ओनली मूव नक्श इज नाइट टू ए फाइव, और कोई मूव नहीं है तुम्हारे पास। यू हैव टू प्ले दिस
हम्म,
नाइट टू एफ फाइव, काउंटर
मैंने
अटैक।
दूसरे नाइट से पॉन ले लिया था।
द प्रॉब्लम है 95, ये बहुत ही नोन पोजीशन है फ्रैडली वर्ड पे। जब ये होता है देन व्हाइट कैन सैक द नाइट ऑन f7 आफ्टर किंग टेक्स f7। now comes queen f3 check,
ओह, चेकमेट हो जाता है।
king e6 चेकमेट नहीं होंगे, नाइट c3। मतलब ऐसे तुम्हारे पास एक्स्ट्रा पीस है, बट यू आर सफरिंग इन दिस पोजीशन टू प्रोटेक्ट दिस vulnerable knight and castle, and game will continue, and slowly but surely white grind through the game and definitely beat you. So in avoid this contrast, so we can play knight f5, counterattacking the bishop. So the main line goes in different ways: bishop b3, bishop b5, but mainly played bishop b5. Then c6 takes and takes. Due to we have a large amount of piece activity, so the gambit pawn we can consider the sacrifice. But तुमने knight takes d5 खेले, hopefully तुम्हारे opponent ने वो नहीं देखा and played d4. So what should you do? तुम्हारे पास एक ही मूव है।
We should unpin the knight by bringing the bishop so that the attack is no longer.
You capture the e pawn, and that makes the e file being under tremendous amount of pressure. The only move है knight takes d4, which protects the queen's maneuvering. I mean, queen f3 जो चेक एक आ रहा था वो भी प्रोटेक्ट हो गया, एंड साथ ही साथ ई फाइल भी क्लोज है ना. अगर C3 होता है विच इज दी लुक्स लाइक वेरी लॉजिकल मूव. नेक्स्ट C3 के बाद लग रहा है कि तुम्हारी नाइट अगर हिलाओगे कहीं पर भी एंड द बिशप विल नाइट विल गया कम से. बट आफ्टर C3
Hmm.
एक मूव है तुम्हारे पास that which with that move you can continue the game on white black to play.
No.
तुम तो नाइट हिला नहीं सकते हो. So you have to counter attack over the other piece. Counter attack बनाओ.
So, because your knight's gonna die anyway, sack the knight in such a way that you can protect your other knight.
Exactly.
So
There are
that
two.
is
Exactly. There are two pieces, so we can counter attack them. So for an example, we can counter attack the C4 bishop. हम लोग कैसे counter attack करेंगे? How could we do that? How could we put
Hmm.
pressure on the C4 bishop?
We could push the B pawn.
Exactly. Pawn to B5. देखा? This is called counter attack. And if bishop takes D5, queen takes D5, C takes D4, and queen takes D2, now you're threatening to take the rook. The only move is queen F3, queen takes F3, knight takes F3, and we have bishop B7. लंबा लाइन है.
And
लंबा लाइन है, but this is the game.
black still wins.
Knight B D2 for an example, but this is bad due to एक plan है how to gain the piece. Attacking move ढूंढो.
Uh, we use our other bishop to attack the other knight.
Playable. बहुत ही playable move है, but I think bishop B4 is very much playable. But I think E4 is much more straightforward. And the moment knight
Yeah, but
moves, for an
won't the
example,
bishops get
हाँ मतलब idea है.
oh,
Then
so that she'll push the pawn again and attack
and
the
double
other
attack.
knight.
To see the continuation is very long continuation, but promisable continuation. All the moves are very forced. So also here white can try bishop pawn to d5 and after bishop d5, knight b d2, e4, knight d4, and we ended up on the same scenario. Anyways, go back and after queen takes d2, if white goes rook f1, now seems the king is vulnerable and we can immediately develop other pieces. Bishop b4 check, knight c3, and bishop b7 looks, yeah, and f6 also looks very interesting. Bishop b7. This confirms that black has the slight advantage in this game, just because of the pieces development. That's it. Let's go back. Exactly. और एक move है. Like we have another move here. After c3, we have f6 also, counterating the knight. C takes d4, and we have f takes d4. Anyway, to me takes d4, castle, bishop e6. पीछे देखा नहीं ना नाइट है,
Hmm.
फिर से वही
मेरे को
चीज.
लगा अगर नाइट लेगा तो पॉन लेके ऐसे
तो फिर
उस
ये बिशप
नाइट
देखो.
को
देखो
सपोर्ट.
तुम्हारी अब व्हाट वुड बी योर कंसंट्रेशन, मतलब प्रायोरिटी किसको दोगे, लाइक व्हाट आर योर प्लानिंग राइट नाउ विद ब्लैक पीसेस.
Development.
आई थिंक किंग सेफ्टी है ना. किंग सेफ्टी. सो टू किंग सेफ्टी व्हाट शुड यू डू, वी हैव टू कैसल.
We develop
सो
the other
वी
bishop, but we can't bring it to its normal square, you know.
bishop e7, right? But seems the position is already very bad. White has this move once again. King f7 and then queen f3. Double attack. So sad. And you cannot go in front of the bishop, right? Because now the additional rook one is coming. And it's just over. So finding the bishop is also quite not very good. Since here one move we can try, which is counterating the bishop on with knight to e5. Okay, this move is incredibly tough to find. After rook e1, and all of a sudden, the position not very good here. Not really good.
Yeah, not really good for me.
Exactly. This is one concerning thing. This is another concerning thing. But you tried bishop e6, rook e1, and you played bishop to d6, get leaving the bishop.
And then I forgot that my knight got
Okay,
blundered.
c3, c3. By the way, they can play, for example, knight takes c6 simply. It's just winning on the spot.
Why didn't they take the knight first? Like that knight's technically free.
Yeah, this also.
Free knight.
Right, this also playable. This also playable. c3.
Entirely free knight.
Due to the thing is that black king is very wide open. c3. You played bishop e5. I don't think so. You should protect your pieces together like that. Instead,
Yeah,
what you
but
can
then I
do.
saw that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but then I saw my knight would die because my knight has pretty much no protection. So then I fixed it so that I could protect the pawn, but then
Okay,
it.
Naksh, I want your attention on this particular position. It is white to play. It is black to play, and find the very accurate move here. So one way black can actually handle the position quite comfortably. That is to minimize the risk of this position by exchanging few pieces here. Like this is the time where the pieces are attacking on you. If you manage to ended up with some simplification, this might
Then what I
relieves you a
can
bit.
do.
So here black to play and find the simplification process here. Simplification that simplify the position forcefully. Like the move is very bold because the position is already very tacticalish, right? So the your move also comes with very tactical approach because you know where you're attacking on, and for example, the queen is looking at the knight, right? But you cannot capture the knight because the bishop is looking at. So these are the thing you have to look at very carefully, like who is defending, who is attacking. So this then the move will come out.
I have a knight. Bishop to f4. Knight takes. Pretty much save the knight.
Right.
Bishop
Bishop f4
takes.
looks like
Knight
your
takes.
simplification, but since the king is wide open, he got the opportunity to play knight to e6 before they capture. And now you have to capture with the pawn. And rook takes e6, white is crashing through. After knight c7, and then bishop takes f4. Knight takes f4 and rook e4, threatening the knight, threatening this pawn. I don't think so. This is like this simplification is actually helping you. Since your position is under danger and tremendous amount of pressure. So I think bishop f4 with the king having on e8, अगर king castle हो जाता बहुत पहले, then bishop f4 might be a very good way. But not right now. But since the problem is over the e file and the problem is the somehow knight. So how could you solve this problem along with some simplification? Because the last c3 move was the bad move and that gave you the opportunity.
Mm,
Black to play.
yeah.
नहीं आ रहा है? Okay. Naksh, the move is very principal method, and the principle of maximum piece activity along with principle of attack. Since the only piece we can capture, only piece कौन सी है वो जी, वो piece जो simplification की बातें कर रहे हो, which is the only
Pawn.
piece here that we can capture.
Pawn.
नहीं,
Pawn.
legal capture. One more legal capture is there.
Isn't
The knight, right? But the problem is the bishop. So we can solve this problem, and also the rook file की जो pressure था वो भी हम लोग कुछ simplify कर सकते with this beautiful move knight e3. Looks very ridiculous, but seems if you want to come up with some very strong defensive move like that, you have to play this kind of move because the position is already being very tactical. So knight e3 interposing between the bishop and knight. So therefore now you can able to take the knight off with queen. So if pawn takes e3, which is bad actually now after queen g5 having now this person you can say you got a little advantage due to suddenly the black white pieces not that much pretty active in this position. So after e takes d4 for an example and queen h4, you already put a, some amount of pressure on the white spot. For example, if g3 try to stop the mate, क्या दोगे? The position
uh,
will be not that much hurt.
hmm. Where can I go? You bring your queen to
Since your
at
bishop is here, queen is here, king is very wide open, so this move comes very natural. Bishop takes e3, blowing up the Dutch shield in front of the king. F takes g3, h takes g3, queen g3, and the white king is literally in trouble. After king h1, since you doesn't have that much of pieces to solidify your position, so what you can do? We can do just simply castle, make your king safe. Now ready for rook hunt. I mean, rook maneuver. For an example, rook d6. I mean, after capturing the bishop, and rook will maneuver over the king side, g6 of 6 or h6, depends upon the position. So the king's position looks very bad. All the pieces looks not good. So black has the chances to win the game. Anyway, I went a little deep here. So this can happen after 93. So that is why white merged with 96 counterating of the queen at the same time. So what we should do? We also capture pawn takes e6. They'll capture pawn takes e3, and once again we have queen to h4. And after g3, now this time we have the same position, and we can just either you can play for draw, or maybe you can do like for an example castle, and then rook can come up over here, and this will be a easy game for
now in
black.
this position I will play for draw.
With black,
Yes, I will play for draw in
अगर
this
एक
position.
अगर draw के हिसाब से खेलते it's okay, but you can also play for win. For example, you rook can swing inside the position with rook f2, sometimes rook f6, rook h6, and so on, because there is no that much of defense. Because at any point if while try to attack you, क्या खेलोगे? In 3, 2, 1,
You would give check to the king.
it's mate. So there is no good defense actually. Anyways, go back. So that's why knight e3 is extremely powerful defensive move here. But you played bishop, but this looks very risky as all the pieces are now confliction is in confliction. So pawn takes d4 and bishop takes d4. You played knight e6, pawn e6, rook e6, and that's bad because it leaves the bishop unprotected. So that is after rook is the only move is knight d7, having having over the subord of the bishop, but it's already not good for black, since तुम castle नहीं कर पाओगे. For example, if knight d2, you cannot castle d2. White can simply play rook d6 and wins the queen. But fortunately, your opponent played something else. Queen h5. Now what you can do? You can just play g6, correct move. Queen takes d5. Now this a bit simplified for you the position. What should you do here in this position? It is white to black to play.
We don't take queen because if we no, but if we don't take
Yeah,
queen,
like
then
you can take the queen, which looks pretty straightforward. And you played bishop takes f2. Why? What was the reason? What is the reason behind this thing? Instead, we can actually do that immediately right now. I mean, without capturing the queen. If king takes f2, now
no, now I won't trade because
since
the
yeah
king
the
is
what is the
way
idea?
the
What is
open
the after
level.
bishop f2? The idea is to win the queen because we cannot win the queen due to the pin. So what we can do now? We can do castle, save the king, break the pin, and next we can take. And if they try to counter back like rook f6, counter check, but we can simply chop the queen. So after knight castle, now black is losing, white is losing due to the queen is about to die. After queen f3, we can just simply chop it off, or even you can play queen to d4 and followed by queen c4. It's either way, we are winning. But I think after bishop to king f2 is already lost because now you're down a what two uh, down piece. You're down a piece because rook is not that much worth currently. Castle queen side is a nice move, but since the bishop is now heading on h6, knight d5, and bishop h6, yeah. So that extra piece is actually rook f8. But the last piece was your very knight e3. This makes your position even worse enough. सेल्फ पिनिंग मत किया करो. जब तुम देखोगे एक एक टिप्स दे रहे हो लाइक let me give you one tip. Whenever you put a minor piece in front of your major piece, look for the pin that opponent can make. 93, and the pin comes. Knight is gone.
Yeah, I got pinned.
Okay, don't run into pin. King f7, whatever, and it is complete. Anyway, they can try bishop c5 and accelerate the winning process by simplifying the position further. But anyway, the game
Yeah,
went like that, and it's second. So if we go earlier to this position, so you have seen a lot of stops here as long as you tried. So here, make a arrow after bishop c4. I think you can avoid this unnecessary that move, like which put a little bit of pressure, but the pressure is nominal because if you know the all the principal moves and the opening moves, I think after takes and very precise knight f5, it's 100% playable. But I think why not you can play very much smarter here. So instead जब तुम पोजीशन देखोगे तो knight f6 देने से क्या हो रहा है, they can play knight g5. So let's just hold that position a bit here क्योंकि we can do some better here. Bishop c5. Now since knight g5 is not that much possible because queen is already looking at that. And if white wants to play knight g5 anyway, so white must protect the square. So they might can try d3 and then followed by knight g5. But Naksh, now you can ready to go knight f6 and agar knight g5 it comes, which is not good since white must develop the other pieces. For example, castle, knight bd2 and so on. But they if still try to go inside the fried liver attack variations. Now since the thing is that you can now do safe castle here and you no longer have any problem along with this diagonal around the pawn because the pawn is protected by the rook itself. And फिर भी अगर वो कैप्चर कर भी लेता है, it's already better for black due to black got some very active minor pieces against the
Hmm.
very passive rook. So minor pieces proves enough will prove enough worth in the game. So I think this is how we can very smartly we can avoid this all the problem here, and we can play bishop c5 and followed by knight f6 and do castle. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Now तुम अब एक गेम खेलो.